Welcome back to another video about how to heal adoption and narcissistic abuse. If you are new to my channel, my name is Theodora. I work as a spiritual and psychological counselor, and I am an adoptee myself. In today's video, we're gonna talk about, will I ever be good enough? I received this topic after asking about ideas to new topics for future YouTube videos on my Facebook page, and a dear follower, Lisa, she wrote that she struggled with the fact that she never felt good enough in her family. And I don't know if she grew up in a narcissistic family or in a non-narcissistic adoptive family, but I want to use the example as if we grew up in a narcissistic adoptive family and talk about the issue with not feeling good enough and what it is that is the reason behind that we're not feeling good enough. What is it that our narcissistic adoptive parents are doing to us that makes us constantly feel like no matter what we do, we will never be good enough in their eyes? And if you like this video, please send it to a friend who needs to know that they are good enough, no matter what their narcissistic adoptive parents have told them or convinced them. They're good enough, and they need to watch this video to be reminded of that. There's so much to talk about in this, and narcissism is complex, adoption is complex, narcissistic adoptive parents is very complex. So I'm gonna go through some of the most common reasons that we constantly feel like we're not good enough, and that this is something that our adoptive parents are doing to us. We can also feel this because we were adopted. And if we grew up in a non-dysfunctional adoptive family, we can still feel like we're not good enough. But then it's something to do with the adoption aspect. And I'm not gonna go into that in this video. I'm gonna use the example of if it's the adoptive parents. So we need to get into the narcissistic adoptive parents' head. I know it sounds uncomfortable, but we're only going to stay there very shortly. We need to understand what it is that's the underlying driving force to make us feel like we're not good enough. We need to understand that they want to gain something from constantly making us feel like we're not good enough. There's something they want from us. What they want is to be the most important person in your life. That's what they want. They want everything to be around them. They want everything to be about them. They want to be the center of the family. They want to be the top of the family. And they need you in order to fulfill that need. They need you to be this cute little adopted child that's going to fulfill that need within them. So imagine that you felt good enough and you were shining your light so brightly, taking up all the space that you deserve. What about the adoptive parents who are narcissistic? How would that make them look like? That would not make them look like they're in a bright light, that they are in a bright position. Your light could easily dim their light. They need to have this amazing self-image, which is probably one of the reasons why they chose to adopt you in the first place. There can be so many reasons why they chose to adopt you, but all of the reasons have maybe, just maybe, one thing in common, which is it was to serve them, not you. The reason why they adopted you was because they had a need that they needed to get fulfilled by you, by the fact that they could go out in the world, tell this little story about how amazing, heroic they are for adopting you, for taking you in like this little helpless poor child. Their story is just delicious for a narcissistic person, because it will put them on a pedestal. It will make them look like they have achieved something extraordinary in a relation to other people. And this is the perfect cover story, because most narcissistic people, they're not interested in other people. They're not interested in having a caring and loving relationship with other people, because they're not capable of doing that. They're only interested in fulfilling their own needs, fulfilling the lack, the emptiness that they feel inside, because they're so disconnected from themselves. They're extremely disconnected from themselves. I would say, if we look at this in a more energetic, spiritual, soulful level, what's going on within a narcissistic person, I know now we're gonna go very deep in within them, right? But hang on, we're gonna exit very shortly. So for a person to develop toxic narcissism in a spiritual and energetic perspective, at some point in their development as children, where the outer circumstances or what they were, or the DNA that they have taken on when entering this life, or what they have brought with them from previous lifetimes, that combination with the circumstances, either they were being extremely neglected, or they were being favorized in the family, so they were not able to fill their own needs because the parents constantly overstimulated them with things they wanted to give them, because they wanted them to feel like this amazing child. Both scenarios can create narcissism, toxic narcissism. It doesn't have to be that they were abandoned, neglected, abused. It can be the complete opposite. And I don't know enough research and statistics about which one is most common. You can look at that at Google afterwards if you want that. But at some point, they were too disconnected from their soul's energy. And that disconnection caused a fragmentation that's irreversible. It's not possible to repair it and to repair what it was that they were disconnected from. It's not possible. So it's a permanent disconnection, it's a permanent fragmentation of their core self, of their soul's energy. And this means that a part of what they're doing to other people, that's hurting other people, is actually being done unconsciously, because they're extremely unconscious of being this fragmented, and because they lack the ability to reflect upon their own actions and how their actions are hurting other people. And I know that you might not want to hear this, that there's a part of them that's unconscious. It sucks, but this is my experience when we look at it in a spiritual, energetic perspective. They are too fragmented to be 100% aware of everything they're doing. I would say that we need to go over and look more at sociopaths if we want them to be more conscious about what they're doing. But again, I am not an expert in sociopath and narcissistic personality disorders. I'm just here to talk about narcissistic adoptive parents and how challenging and difficult that is. So the narcissistic adoptive parents, they need you in order to be able to live with this fragmentation, to live being this fragmented, because that is painful. What they're going through is deeply painful, and they're projecting that onto you. They're projecting everything that's going on within them, everything that they were fragmented, disconnected, dissociated from. They're projecting that onto you. And this is why you can't feel like you're good enough, because that's not serving them. It's not serving them that you're walking around feeling like this amazing adopted person that was saved by these heroic people, because you probably never felt like that. You were convinced by the stories that the parents told you in public and to everyone else that this is what happened, but you don't feel it resonates within your soul. So this means that your narcissistic adoptive parents, they need to disempower you. It serves a very important function for them. And that's why you can also experience that you're being bullied. I remember that the follower Lisa, she wrote something about being bullied. And this is very normal. This is very common that adoptive parents do this. And this can stem from a lot of things. It could be because they're projecting their own lack of self-confidence, their own lack of self-belief, or whatever it is, because they actually really hate themselves deep inside. They project that onto you and they want you to not feel good about how you look, what you eat, how you dress, the choices you make, the thoughts that you're thinking. They want you to feel like shit, because basically they're trying to drag you down into their hole of narcissistic shit. Actually trying to drag you down into that. That's why they're also twisting your reality, because they are twisted in their head. Their perception of reality is the twisted one. Their perception of reality is the illusionary one. And they are living in a parallel world of what it is that they're actually experiencing. And that's why it's so difficult to talk with them about what you experienced. It's almost impossible, because they are so locked in with their own perception of what is right and wrong. And that is directly a result of how fragmented they are deep inside, and how desperate they are to feel like they matter, to feel like they are good enough, and feel like they belong somewhere. They are projecting everything onto you. And it's not helping when you are already adopted. It's not helping at all. It's very, very, very bad. It's a very bad cocktail. And the good news is you can uninstall all that shit within yourself. It's possible to release that. It's possible to change that. It's possible to add positive changes into your life. Even though you went through this, it is possible. And that's the best news I can give you in this video, besides the fact that it was never about you. It was always about them. They are the mental ones. It was never about you. That's probably the first best news in this video. The second news is it is possible to get rid of their little voice in your head that's continuing to make you feel like you're good enough. I have worked with a couple of adopted people where their adoptive parents had passed away years ago, but the adoptees were still hearing the adoptive parents' voice within their head, and they were actually still sabotaging their life. They were self-sabotaging. But when we located the voice, it was actually the adoptive parents' voice. It is very, very common that we develop this. It's kind of like a second personality, sub-personality that we have to develop in order to survive. I dive into that in some of the recent YouTube videos as well, so I would recommend that you go watch that afterwards. So what we can conclude now, after diving into this, after going into the head of the narcissistic adoptive parents, which was not comfortable, but you made it, and from understanding what it is that they are trying to gain, the reasons that they needed to make you feel like shit, we can conclude that it was not about you. It's never about you. And that can be very difficult to understand and accept and forgive those parts of you that believe it was because of you and that you were the reason for their misery and that you are not good enough. It can take time to change these thought patterns because they were probably developed very early in life, and now they are operating from a subconscious belief system. And that can take time to change, but it's not impossible. It's not impossible. And this is something that I'm currently looking into, trying to understand through studying hypnotherapy. And I hope that by adding these techniques to my work with adopted people, that we can really change what it is that was created in this subconsciousness, because that is so necessary if we want to begin living the life that we also came here to experience. Because we did not just came to experience these adoptive parents abusing us, breaking us down mentally. We also came to experience this amazing life that I'm also talking about so often in my videos, because I want to give you guys hope. I want you to continue. I want you to keep pushing, keep going for what it is that you know that you deserve. You need to keep going because it's there. It's in the future waiting for you. And you're gonna receive it when the time is right. So don't give up. This is something that I really like about time travels, that sometimes I can go into the future and see what's waiting for people. I also see what's waiting for myself. And I think whenever we are going through a healing process, for example, or recovering from something very, very traumatic, we need a hope. We need this reassurance from the future that it is working. What it is that we're doing now, it's working because it's moving us closer to this future that we really want to experience and to live. I want to give you this hope because I've seen it in my own life. I've seen it in other adopted people's lives. I see it in my clients' life. I see ahead of their life in the future what it is that's waiting for them. And that's why I need to continue to root for you, because you deserve to know what's waiting. And I know that it's gonna change. So I want you to know that the work that you're doing now is very important. It's very important. And it's okay to have bad days. We all have bad days. I had a bad day yesterday. Literally, I just felt like shit. And I felt like nothing mattered. But it's okay. And then the next day we rise and we continue. And today I felt so inspired to record this YouTube video. And I also recorded another YouTube video, which I'm not gonna reveal what it's about. You can subscribe to my channel and then you will find out the next video that I have in line for you. I'm gonna stop talking now. I hope that this video could give you some reassurance, comfort, remind you of your worth, that you are worthy, and that whatever these narcissistic, shitty adoptive parents they made you believe or convinced you about, it's not true. And you know that in here, you know that. Hold on to that, and then I'll see you in my next video. Bye for now.